Hello class, in this video, I'm going to show you how to process command line arguments. So first of all, what is command line arguments? Command line argument means your program can take argument on the command line. So exactly what is that? Well, if you ever compile your C++ program using command line, using command windows, then you should be able to see that. So let me show you how you compile your C++ program using command line windows. So if you are using code block in here, usually you click this build and run, or you run, right? You click this, build and run. So you are building your program, build your executable, and then run at the same time. And you don't have a chance to give your program any arguments. So you cannot provide any arguments to your program. Or you can also build it here using this build button. This option just build your executable. It create your executable, but it doesn't run your program. So how does CodeBlock build your program? Internally, CodeBlock just utilize this command to build your executable. So I don't want to type it, it takes too long. So I'm going to copy that command. And by this time, I hope you know how to open this command line windows. It's the same on both Windows and Mac. You go down here, you can type command prompt. That's what you get. On the Mac, it's called iTerminal. So this is how I get this command prompt window. And let's take a look. I have my C++ program in here in this directories, right? I have command line args cpp, command line args2 cpp, and so on. Also, I have this executable file. This is built recently. You can see the timestamp by my CodeBlocks IDE. And also, it also generates the .o file. So let's say I'm going to delete this executable and the .o file to make sure that I'm building the new one, right? So if I do dir again, you don't see those two files. They see exe and .o file. I only have C++ file. Now, let's see, I want to compile my program manually instead of using CodeBlocks IDE. This is what I type. So I type G++ is the C++ compiler program name. And then I provide a few options on the command line. So this is the compiler program name, right? That's my executable. And then when I run execute my compilers, I say, hey, compiler, these are my options. So that's what I mean by command line argument. So if I hit enter, I build my executable. If I do dir again, you see that my that I have the executable right here, command lines argument exe. So instead of using code blocks to build it, I'm do it myself by typing the compiler command. So the compiler takes these options and process it. You can do the same for your program. So my program name is command lines args2, right? Now, let's say I'm gonna run my program, my args2, and then I say I provide command line argument args1, args2, just call, no, I don't want to call arc1, arc2, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, something like that. So those are the arguments that I provide to my program. And then I run my program, command line arch2, type these arguments on command line. And you see it can print what my user type. So there are two options or two arguments that my user type, A, B, C, D, E, F. But in the program, it prints a few more things. It prints the argument 0 is command line arc2. So argument 0 is the name of my executable. So let's take a look at the code, how we process these user input on the command line. It should be straightforward. You don't have to do anything. C++ infrastructure or template of the main functions already provide you the methods of getting it. So up to this point so far, we don't really care what's inside of these parentheses after you declare your main functions, right? Now we do. So what are we getting? We are given two arguments. The first one is we call command argument count. The second one is called argument vectors. So argument count tell us how many elements are there in this argument vector. So argument vector is just an array of string that that contain what the user tell us on the command line. The first argument vectors is always your executable name. So I declare a variable called program name, and I said that is the first argument in this vector or argument vector, or it is really an array of characters, array of string, and then I print it. So basically, the first argument that it passed to your program is the executable name of the program. And that's what you see right here. I say program name. It's a my program name is command line arch2. Why my program is command line arch2? Because when I build my executable, I tell the C++ compiler with the -o option, I said build the executable, and this is the name of my executable. So usually when you build an executable program for your C++ program, you use the same name as your C++ program so that you know what program, what executable is from what program. And we also do print the number of command line arguments, .rc. RC tell us how many elements there are in this array. So it's a number of command line arguments is 3, right? And then we go to the loop. We said we want to print those arguments. So we use a for loop, do count less than RC, and we just use the loop control variable index to access each element, right? So it's a standard loop. Argument 0 is the executable name, and then the user type in A, B, C, D, E, F. So that's what you see right here. So let's try it and give it more argument. I call arc1, 2, 3, 4. And then you will see more, right? So now you see that I'm providing these 4 arguments to my program, and then the program print all a piece. Now, let's see if you compile your program and you give a different name than your C++ file and see if the command line arguments can process it or knows what it is. So let me recompile, and instead of say command line arguments to, I just say cmd2, cmd2, which is the executable program name for this C++ program command line args2. I'm gonna hit enter. If I do a dir, which stands for directories, you see that I have an executable with that name, and that's a timestamp, right? Now, instead of run command lines, I say command line args2, I say cmd2, and I provide my argument list, arg1, arg2 this time, and I execute my program. Now you see the difference. It's a my program is cmd2. That's my executable. So for the same C++ program, if I build the executable using a different name, create a different name for my executable, that's what it is. So when I say make an assignment of argument vector 0, this program name is cmd2 because that's how I build it, right? That's what I tell my compiler. And then the rest is the same like before. We go to the loop and then we print all the arguments that are given to us on this command lines, including the program name itself. So by conventions or standard, the argument 0 is always the executable program name. So now you see that how you can process command line arguments on the command line when your user run your program. Because up to this point, if you want to take some input from the user, usually we have to ask the user. Using cout, we ask the user a question, and then using cin, then we read the input from what the user type in, right? However, this is a different option. You don't have to ask the user. The user can just type the executable and then the list of argument, and then your program should be able to receive these arguments using what you have on this function parameters. And the operating system, like I'm using Windows, right? The operating system is the one that take these and then give it to your executable program. That's why you can take it. So all you need to do is to declare. Usually we just don't care, so we just use left parentheses, right parentheses. But if we do care, we want to take the command line arguments, then you have to specify these two parameters in your program. Okay, that's the end of this video. So thanks for watching.